Hey guys, how's it going? Pastor Justin here. Welcome back. I hope your summer was great. I hope you're rested and ready for a fruitful season of ministry coming up here. This month in our huddle video, I want to talk about a fairly simple principle in concept, but it's not that simple in application. And it is working on your missional community. Now, one of the hardest parts of leading a missional community is making the time to work on your MC and not just in your MC. This is a distinction that may seem small, but it oftentimes is the reason why missional communities get stuck, current leaders get burned out, and new leaders don't get raised up, and then therefore MCs don't multiply. See, working in your missional community is time-consuming and really exhausting. I don't have to explain this to you. You already know. There's always another person to meet with. There's always another event to attend or event to create. And there's always another missional conversation that you would like to have with a friend or a neighbor. Not to mention the childcare situations, right? On top of it all. The work in our missional communities is truly never done. So all of that, all of the day-to-day stuff we have to do to keep making disciples in community on mission, that actually takes a whole group to actually sustain over the long haul. But working on your missional community is something that only you as the leaders can do. And here's the distinction I'm trying to make here and an analogy to go along with it. Working in your missional community is the work you do to keep your MC making disciples. It's the hosting, it's the teaching, it's the counseling, it's the gospeling. But working on your missional community is the dreaming, the planning, the praying, and the strategizing that usually takes place outside of your missional community gathering. Now here's the analogy. Think of yourself like a business owner rather than a manager, let's say. As a business owner, you have two aspects of your business. First, you've got to keep the business running. This is the work you do in the business. This is the paying the bills, this is the managing the people, this is the keeping the lights on. But then you've also, on top of that, you've got to work on the business. This requires you to step away from the day-to-day operations so that you can get a longer range perspective. You might need to attend a conference. You might just need a day out of the office to think through the vision and strategy of the business and think about what opportunities and what challenges are coming on the horizon so that when they show up, you can actually have your business positioned to capitalize on those opportunities. Now, contrast this with a manager. All a manager has to do is show up each day and do their job. That's it. They work in the business. Now, as missional community leaders, we are far more like business owners or like church planters than we are like managers. Now, if we don't take the time to work on our missional communities, the work in our missional communities can actually kill us, drain us, and really destroy the momentum and the movement forward of our missional communities. We'll be stuck forever in maintenance mode, just one more counseling session, just one more meeting, just one more missional community event. And we'll be fighting to keep our heads above water most of the time. Now, so how do we work on our missional communities? Well, one of the rhythms that we have to get us all to work on our missional communities is our biannual MC Leader Check-In. Now, this check-in isn't meant to be slapped together last minute by one person in the group. Anybody guilty of that? Rather, it's meant to be a time where all the leaders can come together and get a long-range perspective on where the missional community is at and each person in the MC, set some goals or objectives for the coming quarter or the coming next 6 months of the year, and then create a strategy to reach those objectives. In that check-in meeting, we want to, like we always do, we want to celebrate some wins. We want to look back What's God done? I know God's done some miraculous things this year already. We've got some radical conversions, and praise God for it. We got more people doing Porterbrook than we've ever had. We've got just a lot of things to celebrate. We want to do that we want to celebrate those wins in our MC Check-In. We were kind of checking the vines for fruit, all right, in that check-in. We also want to ruthlessly evaluate what we are currently doing as leaders and make sure we haven't drifted from our vision of gospel, community, and mission. And while we're doing this, we want to evaluate, okay, what am I doing right now that I could actually hand off to someone else, right? If we aren't doing this and having this kind of evaluation time, and maybe even writing down a stop doing list, you know what, I need to stop leading prayer. You know what, I should stop cleaning up in the kitchen. You know what, I should stop checking in with everybody in my missional community. I'm actually going to hand that off to some emerging leaders. Now, if we don't create this stop doing list and then start handing things off, then we're probably never going to be developing emerging leaders very well. Now, I am very guilty of this myself. I am gifted in the night of a missional community just to run things and to lead and to do a Bible study or to gospel. And so if I have a busy week, I can just fall back on my own gifts and I can just show up and I can just do everything myself. But this, and my leaders around me are helping me see this, this is not helpful for the long-term vision of our church and the long-term vision of our missional community. I need to keep raising up leaders and handing off responsibility and let others do things that are way better at doing things like follow-up and things like that than I am. I need to hand those off, and that's a way to develop emerging leaders. Now, while we're doing this check-in, we also want to set some goals or some objectives for this next season. If you're in maintenance mode, I know you're just trying to keep your head above water and you're just thinking one MC ahead, one MC ahead, one MC ahead, but you're never going to get ahead by doing that, and you're never going to raise up leaders by doing that. So here are some examples of some goals or objectives you should have in this next season. Maybe, all right, we're going to get some emerging leaders into Porterbrook. Now, many of you, I know you've already crushed it at that. We've got 80 people taking Porterbrook this year. Here's another one. We're going to get any or all of our non-members into the membership process. Key piece of our discipleship. We want people to come to Christ. We want people to get baptized. We want people to be in a missional community. We want people to become members. And we want to keep pushing people towards that as their next step in discipleship. Maybe it's time that we find a new host home. I know there's some hosts out there who have been doing it for years. Do you need a break? Probably. Let's start talking about who could host. Let's start, making asks, and let's start trying to figure out. All right, we need to have somebody else open up their home and carry some burden, so we could possibly raise up some new leaders in the future. Maybe we need to create a new fight club. Maybe you've got some new members, some new women, some new men, and they don't have a fight club. All right, well, let's talk about what it would look like to create a new fight club or help them get a fight club started and go through that. We don't have a formal fight club process. It's very organic in each missional community. And so maybe this next season we want to get our people into fight clubs. Maybe we need to adjust our missional focus. Maybe the mission that we're on mission to is just not going well. Maybe we need to really push into our mission because our people aren't showing up and they're not living out of their missional identities. Whatever it is, through the questions that are in that MC check-in, the leaders are meant to go kind of evaluate where we're at and say, you know what, this is what we need to do. We need to get better at community. We need to get better at gospeling. We need to get better at mission. And so what are we going, let's create a strategy and some goals to accomplish that in this next season. Now, again, I want you to see that the MC check-in isn't just some paperwork, some busy work that we're giving you to, just because we want you to, stay busy. That's not what we're doing with this thing. The MC checking is meant to serve you as a missional community leader to take a break from working in your MC and force you to work on it, even maybe just for a couple hours, right? It's meant to help you see where you're at, where God wants you to go in the next season, and get all your MC leaders on the same page so you guys can move forward as a team together. Now, one other aspect, it's also crucial for us as the elders. When you put these together, you give them to Larry, and Larry brings them to the elder meeting, and it enables us as your pastors to really pastor you and your MC in a more focused way. Now, I'm reading through all these things, and I hear about all these situations, and I've been at the door, and I've just shook someone's hands, and I said, hey, I'm praying for you, and I'm praying for your daughter, or I'm praying for your child, or hey, I'm praying for that business opportunity, or oh, I heard that you're thinking about moving, and I'm praying about that. And I see this like shocked look on people's face, that they think me, as the lead pastor or whatever, doesn't have anything to do with their life, doesn't know where they're at. But because of these MC check-ins and the huddles, and it getting back to the pastors and us being able to pray in a focused way, that I've already been praying about it, the elders have already been praying about it, and I can engage that person. And it's just, I've just seen them really respond positively to them being pastored and shepherded in that way. So these moments are key for me, and they're key for our other pastors. So we thank you for spending some time and not just slapping together that MC check-in. So what I want us to do, if you haven't already, set aside some time in the next couple of weeks to get these MC check-ins done before things start to get crazy in the holiday season. So try to get it done in the either next week or the next 2 weeks. All right, that's what I want you to do. I want to fill you in on that, give you a little vision for that MC check-in. And now the rest of the night, I want you guys to go ahead. I want you to pray. I want you to share evidence of grace, do what you normally do, and check in and update your huddle leader on where you're at, where your MC's at, where you're at, and know that the elders are praying for you, that we love you, that you are on the front lines of ministry, and that literally God is doing something special in our city, and He's doing it with you at the tip of the spear. And so, thank you guys for your care. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your love, and I will see you soon. God bless.